I look at urban economic development essentially. So I do a bunch of research on questions about urban economic development in Indian cities, and with a particular focus on employment and informality. So I essentially am very curious about the role of women and what they do in cities essentially. And the thing in India is that you actually find that in urban areas, women actually tend to work a lot less than they do in rural areas, which is kind of peculiar compared to sort of other countries and their development trajectories, where in urban areas women tend to work more. So that's sort of a sort of fundamental puzzle that sort of attracted me to this question on working on employment. And a lot of employment in urban areas in India is informal, and I'm really curious about what the state can do to work within the structure of the economy, which is dual in nature, with a small formal sector and a very large informal sector, and what essentially the state can do to make conditions of workers in the informal sector better without trying to impose the formal structures of the market on them. I think it's partly my background. So I was actually trained, my undergraduate degree was in mathematics, and I kind of realized very quickly going in that I wanted to do something more applied, and wasn't interested in something so theoretical. And then my next degree was actually in public policy, and I focused there on economics, where I felt like I could use my sort of quantitative skills. And so I started coming at some of these questions from growing up in cities in India and sort of seeing the complexity and just sort of being curious about how these things work. And to me, I feel like the economy really ties it all together, because cities, I feel, form because of economic forces. People sort of make stuff and do stuff and do things differently when they're concentrated in an area. And I feel like the economic driver behind forming cities is really strong. So I think it was kind of a natural progression to start asking questions about the economics of cities when I started working on them. The question about women sort of actually came up a lot later. So it's not something that I was exposed to in my training, but as you go along and you sort of look at what's really going on and start pulling things apart, you realize that at least in India, in a South Asian context, actually what's happening with women is very different from what's happened in other places. And I think to me that's a very curious thing, and I think I'm still early on in trying to figure out what drives it, and what's really going on, and like trying to unpack it and do more research and understand the different dynamics going on. But that's really sort of the trajectory that led me to where I am right now.